Welcome to Writers Behaving Badly, a deeply unserious podcast about seriously good writing. I'm Annie Bucknell and I'm joined by my partners in crime, fellow writer and ghost hunter Brooke Turnbull, and our endlessly wise but occasionally power-drunk mentor, Lisa Island. Each week, Lisa attempts to mentor one of us, good luck to her, or one of you, while we distract her with industry gossip, unsolicited hot takes, and a healthy dose of mayhem. Writing may be a solitary pursuit, but this podcast proves that mischief loves company. So settle in, because these writers are about to behave very badly indeed. Welcome to the next episode of Writers Behaving Badly. We have just officially wrapped up our first ride-along, our Badly Behaved ride-along, hosted by Lisa Island. It was so much fun, and we'd like to report in for our wins and sins from the session/week. Brooke, do you want to read us through what some of our amazing writer listeners have been up to this week?
I absolutely do. I'm very excited to announce everybody's wins because nobody was sinning, everybody was winning. It was so fun. It was like, I had forgotten how much I loved ride-alongs, and then I logged into ride-along and was like, oh, yay, this is the best.
Fun. I'd forgotten too. Like, I really love doing ride-alongs, and we all, it was a really productive one. So we had some real winners, didn't we?
It was. And I would like to call some of them out with full permission, of course, with enthusiastic consent in Writers Behaving Badly. So Simone was winning in her second draft, and she was also doing some pomodoros throughout the week. So she'd really got back into it by doing them, which is always just a great method. Catherine, one of the Catherines, there's two Catherines. We've got one of the Catherines was winning by getting back into the story again, just recalibrating with her manuscript, especially when you've had like a period of time out of it to get back into it.
Catherine's been away for a while, so, and she's been on a long holiday, so she kind of needed just a bit of time and space just to reread and centre herself back in the manuscript.
Yeah,
so
and that's a huge win.
Yeah.
Other Catherine was winning with a great word goal. She put in a word goal in the chat. She had to leave a little bit earlier, but she was very happy with her words that she got. Kylie was getting back into the swing of writing. She did 600 words, so well done. That's a bloody mammoth effort for, what did we do? We did like a 45-minute session of writing. So 600 words in 45 minutes is pretty incredible. And Erin, she was second draft winning as well, condensing words and formulating her story with her vignettes. So what a group of writing legends. I'm so proud. I'm so proud of you all. I'm so proud of everybody. I'm just so in my feelings.
So excited to have that little group. Some of those groups some of the people in that group have done ride-alongs with me before, but we had some virgins as well. So I hope they enjoyed it. But yeah, it was kind of, it felt a little bit like getting the gang back together, and I remembered how much fun we had in the previous ride along. So I think it's going to be a great group, and I think we're going to get lots of words written, and it's not too late to join in. Like, you can join anytime. So it's available to all our paid subscribers. So all you have to do is become a paid subscriber and you're part of the group. So if you
then get a Zoom link in your inbox and you're good to go. Yeah. And we did actually mention to the paid supporters on the ride-along session that there's some extras coming and a little bit about what they might be. A lot of them are directly related to Lisa Island's wonderful mentoring and writing advice. But we did decide too that we could possibly pimp Brooke out. Yeah. So if you want to rent a hype girl, and just slide into Brooke's DMs on Substack and just be like, Brooke, I'm having a bad day, and nothing will turn your day around faster.
Send me just a paragraph of words and I will tell you how fucking amazing they are.
And she will mean it. She will be specific.
Never written, they definitely won't be.
Yeah, we talk about having an inner editor, but we all need an inner cheerleader, and that is Brooke Turnbull.
And you know what? These services do not come cheap. She's not getting away from
very high class hype girl, thank you.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, so you have to pay for this service. You have to be a paid subscriber. We're not giving our hype girl away for nothing.
But we do have discount codes. So you can, when we say not giving her away for nothing, we are giving her away for a minimum of $6 a year.
I'm not high class, no, actually. wasn't just our beautiful ride-along people that were winning. It was also our riders behaving badly were not behaving badly at all. Lisa, what were you doing this week? Were you winning? I think you were.
I'm such a winner. I feel like I'm like on that podium. It doesn't happen very often, so I'm really leaning into it, like being a bit arrogant with it, because it won't last, I'm sure.
You should.
I am over the halfway mark in my manuscript. I'm at over the
Cheering
50,000.
here.
Yeah, over 50,000 words. I'm hoping the manuscript will be 90, but it never is. It's always closer to 100. So either way, I'm over the halfway mark and I am writing like a steam train. And I even got 600 words in write along, which is like incredible because like normally I get like 200 and everybody else is there with their, I got 1,000, I got 800, and I'm like, I got
Not
2.
me, Lisa. So, you and I are of the same. If only we could type as fast as we can speak, because you and I could probably out-talk Brooke, but she out-types us any day of the week.
That's so true. So true. But anyway, I'm a winner this week. And what about you two? I think you might be winning as well. Do we have all winners on the podium this week? Annie,
I'm going to count it as a win because I followed instructions. So I voxed Lisa earlier in the week and said, Lisa, I need to pause on the drafting and return to outlining for a minute because I just get like messy in the middle and I want to be able to actually finish a manuscript. And so Lisa gave me some very strict homework. She said which story structure I needed to use to outline, which was a good one for me, and then also told me a book I had to read. So I followed my homework in the ride-along. So I feel like that's winning. Plus, I cut a new fringe. It's given me a new personality. So
yes.
We're good with that.
Farrah Fawcett with the heifer.
I love it. It's so bouncy.
Fawcett is. Do you
Yes, I know who Farrah Fawcett is, Lisa. I'm not that.
You're children.
She thinks, I love how she thinks we're children, and I'm counting down the days on a countdown to my 40th birthday, but I'm a child.
So just appreciate being a child while you can.
Thank you, Lisa. I'll be a child. And Brooke?
Yes, I was also winning. I was sinning a little bit this week. I did a little bit of sinning. So I'm on like the bronze podium, because I have a word count goal of 729 words per day, and I haven't done any writing for this week yet. So my word count goal tonight for ride along was 1,500, which I did not get, but that's okay. I'm still counting the fact that I got 1,000 down as a win, and again, just being in the story is so good. When you keep out of the story too much, then you get back into it and you spend the first freaking 45 minutes reading the last passage that you wrote and going, what the fuck is happening? Where the fuck are they going? Who the fuck are these people?
I know.
So it's so good to have that, just touch that manuscript whenever you can. I think it's the best.
But one of my favourite moments is when you open a manuscript and you haven't been in it for a while and you open it and you're like, did I write that?
Yeah, that is good.
I didn't write that. Yeah, it doesn't happen very often, but when it does.
To me, I'm like, oh, did I write that? Oh.
Mostly that's my reaction, but occasionally I'm like, really, that was me? I can't do that again.
Occasionally I like The Secret Life of Shirley Sullivan. That's my favourite. And occasionally I'll read a bit of that. Someone will read it to me or whatever, something. I'll have to read it to give someone an excerpt for something. And I'm like, yeah, this is okay. I don't mind, So
I quoted Lisa to herself last week.
Ooh, how did that go for you?
So I thought to myself, I walked away, I don't know what Lisa's feelings were, but I walked away from going, do you know what, I actually have learned something. She was talking to me about the first part of her manuscript, and I was like, I heard someone say once that you never start at the right spot. You always, authors always start either too early, usually too early in the story, and so then it lags. And Lisa was like, yeah, that's That's one of mine.
What I mean by that is it's okay to write that stuff, but it often's not going to end up in the finished draft, in the finished published book, like, because you are in the first draft, you often start too early because you're telling yourself the story, but often that stuff's boring. It's not telling the story. Like, you need to know it, but it's not interesting enough for the reader. And so Brooke was quite helpfully telling me that, giving me that advice, and I was like, I told you. It's like, oh, yeah, all right.
Hey, at least you know she's listening. She's listening.
Mm.
Yeah.
Proud.
I was very proud. See, she knows now. So, something. She does listen. Very
I do
good.
listen sometimes. We're going to go on to our beautiful author interview with Carly Orr.
Fantastic.
Enjoy.
We are welcoming today to Writers Behaving Badly the very lovely Kylie Orr. I'm going to be very super professional and read out Kylie's official bio. So Kylie is the author of dark and twisty contemporary romance. Her debut novel, Someone Else's Child, which I personally loved, was longlisted in the Rochelle Prize and published by HarperCollins in 2022. Her second novel, The 11th Floor, hit shelves in February 2024 and was chosen as an Apple Books must-read and book of the week in the Age and affiliate newspapers nationally. Through her books, Kylie delves into the complex stories of everyday people and their secret lives behind closed doors. Welcome, Kylie. Thanks for being with us today.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
I am really excited to see you here. We're in a bit of a technical nightmare, poor Kylie and I. I am flying solo with this interview, and regular listeners will know that that is not my preferred method of interviewing because I am not a technical genius. Now, Kylie, I've just read your bio, and you are the author of 2 books, both of which I have read and loved. They're very suspensey kind of. Would you call them domestic suspense? Is that the right? I'm terrible at
crime. I don't know. They're all women's fiction. They cross a whole lot of genres. Domestic suspense.
I think they're really relatable for women. They're, for me, I could. Particularly the first book with Someone Else's Child, it's a situation that you can easily imagine yourself in. So I'm not going to give away spoilers in case people haven't read the books yet. But if you haven't, please go out and get Kylie's books. You will not be disappointed. So, Kylie, 2 books. How did that happen? How did you get published in the first place? Was that a lifelong dream? Were you slaving away quietly, or for years before you got published, or did you just sit down at the computer one day and think, I'm going to write a book? How'd you get here?
Someone just knocked on my door and said, I think you'd be good at writing. Here's a book deal. Isn't that how it happens? No, I was in a writers group writing children's books, keen to get children's books published, and I ended up getting 4 published. But I was also writing for a website called Essential Baby at the time, and I had 4 children, so I had lots of fodder. And I had an editor contact me, no shit, to say, I really like your voice, and I think the articles you read would lend themselves to like longer form. And do you have any gems in your bottom drawer? And I had never really thought about writing a novel. And my writers group said, for God's sake, just tell her yes, that you do. And I'm like, but I don't. I had 2 ideas. One of them was Someone Else's Child, and one of them was a funny book. And I was told at the time, this is about 10 years ago, funny books don't sell.
Oh, no.
So then they told me, give me the first 20,000 words of the other book. Well, I had no idea how to write a novel. So I basically had to kind of teach myself how to write a novel. And I wrote short stories, and I'd won a couple of competitions. So I kind of felt like it's just putting a whole lot of short stories together, but in longer form. And actually, no, that's not how it works, is it, Lisa? Anyway, I sent my 20,000 words. They took it to an acquisitions meeting. It got rejected, and then I got completely ghosted. And but then I was so determined to write that book to the end. So I paid for a mentorship with Catherine Hayman.
Right.
And I also won a spot on Fiona McIntosh's masterclass, 5-day masterclass. And so I did write that book to the end, and I did pitch it, and it got rejected, I don't know, about 1 million times. And then I was
Were you
told.
just pitching in Australia at this point?
Yep. It's set in a country town in Australia, so and it's not sort of rural crime, which I know they like overseas, but I felt like I needed to really get it up here first. And then I entered the Ritual Prize and was longlisted and had a little cry because I thought maybe this is the turning point.
Yeah.
And it was. I got an agent, and that agent started pitching it in March 2020, Lisa.
Wow.
And we all know what happened in March 2020, don't we?
Well, yeah, I do know what happened in March 2020 because I had a book which was supposed to be my breakout novel. A couple of episodes back, we had Kylie Ladd.
Yes, I just listened to this morning. I was laughing about the breakout novel Promises.
She was talking about that. And I had what was supposed to be what had been sort of touted as my breakout novel that was released in March 2020. It might have been April, but anyway, we all know what happened.
The joy. So I got, again, lots more rejections because, publishing didn't know what the future held, so they were scared to sign new books. Anyway, in October of that year, we had a breakthrough and I got a 2-book deal with HQ Fiction, which is HarperCollins.
Yep.
Beside myself excited. And because I kept getting rejected with the first book in this very long time period, so from idea to book on the shelf was 7 years, I started writing the second book thinking I just need to focus my energy onto something else because I'm obsessed with getting this first one published. And actually what we know is all we can control is the book. We can't control where it ends up. So that was good because I got a 2-book deal and it already started on a second book. So I did have something I could show them.
So it all went smoothly from there. Is that right? Everything, it was just like once you signed the contract, everything was fine and dandy. Is that right?
No, I would not. I would not say fine and dandy. I had a change in agent between the first and second book, which was a little bit of an unfortunate and quite messy split.
Oh.
I don't know, lost hope a lot of times. I had a massive learning curve in this industry. I just kind of thought, I know that they say most Australian authors don't make money from their writing. That's like 1% or something. And I was like, yeah, but I can be the 1%. Like somebody has to be the 1%, right? It can't just be Sally, Trent, and Holly. I feel like there's room for a Kylie in there.
Look, it's a tricky thing, the whole money situation, because I guess it depends. Like there are a few people that make a lot of money, and then there's a lot of people in the middle that make, decent money but not life-changing money. Yeah. And then there's a large group of authors, whether they're published traditionally or not, who will never make anything much more than small change. And I think that's something that it's hard to get your head around when you're seeing all these books on the shelf. And I'm sure people still think that if you have a published book that you're a millionaire.
You're rich.
Like,
but I mean, I'm not great at managing my own expectations. I will admit that about myself. So I did have kind of lofty dreams that came crashing down pretty quickly. Yeah. But look, it was amazing to get a 2-book deal when I thought it would never get up. And so it was not smooth sailing, and it was a very long time. And I just tell people the 2 things that got me through were hope and grit.
Yeah. I think that the issue for a lot of us is, like you say, even though you kind of knew that the chances of making loads and loads and loads of money or the book being a runaway success was small, you still had that hope. And I mean, I think hope is a good thing, because otherwise, why do we keep pushing on?
Stop.
But I do think it's common for authors, me included. I just didn't really understand the industry pre-published. Like, even though I knew lots of authors, well, actually I didn't know heaps, but I knew a few authors who were published. I knew lots of writers, but I didn't know a lot of published authors before I was published myself. And so I didn't really understand that signing that first contract is just the beginning of the journey, really. It's not the end. It's, that it's not going to solve all your problems. It doesn't mean that you'll be published forevermore. Signing a 1-book deal or a 2-book deal is just that.
I had another published author who's been quite successful, say to me, it feels like you've won the lottery when you get a book deal, but when you sort of get over the other side, you realize you're just holding a lottery ticket like everybody else.
Yes.
And I thought that was a really good analogy that,
yeah,
then I guess there's natural inequities in the industry, and, some people get, a lot of backing because their publisher has the money or the resources to do it, and some people don't, and who knows why they choose what they choose, whatever, and we have no control over that. And I think I've just come to a point where I've learned to accept that now, that that's what it is. And, if a book takes off, particularly a debut, to me it's often to do with luck and timing, and it doesn't mean that book is any better than other books that are out there that have not been discovered. But maybe that's just what I tell myself.
So with that in mind, what keeps you going? Have you ever wanted to just throw it away and go, I'm not doing this anymore, I've had enough? And if that is the case, if you have had that feeling, what keeps you going? Why are you still here? Why are you still doing it?
Look, I probably want to give up writing on a weekly basis. I'm pretty awful to be around when I'm not writing. And also I think my brain is just wired like a writer. Like, my husband and I went for a walk the other night. It was quite dark, and we ended up in suburban streets that I didn't really want to walk in. But I was totally looking in people's windows, and not right up at the window, Lisa, just from the footpath.
I have this image of Kylie peering
peeping Tom.
Peeping Kylie.
No, it was just as I walked past each house, I just wondered, what's the story going on in that house? Like, it's just, I don't know how we think. We have ideas, and an idea is not a story. We all know that. But just everywhere I go, I kind of feel like I need to put notes and characters on the page. And also, I don't know what else I'd do if I wasn't writing. I've been out of corporate environments for so long now. I used to be an HR manager pre-kids, and I think my tolerance for dickheads is pretty low these days, and I just don't know someone would pay me to abuse staff members. I'd probably need to be sent to HR myself.
Oh, I keep threatening to give up writing and go get a real job. Job.
Yeah.
Well, quotation marks there, air quotes.
Let's not perpetuate that, Lisa. This is a real job.
But wait, I was going to say, but the thing is that, first of all, I'm not qualified to do anything else anymore. But the other thing is that I can't not write. Like, I have a real pull to the keyboard. Yeah. And the thing is that it's the hardest job I've ever had. So I don't have actually room. I already have half of I have 50% of my time goes on writing and 50% goes on mentoring. Mm-hmm. And another 50%, because I work 150% of the week, goes on volunteer stuff for festivals and whatnot. But I'm so drawn to writing, and I'm so sucked into it that I don't know that I have the capacity to do anything else anymore, because writing is a really hard job. And I think if you have a job, which makes it really tricky for people who have to do big brain work, I think, at their job. Like, if you have a job that is not writing adjacent, so lots of writers have writing adjacent jobs where they might, be a journalist, or like me, they might be a mentor, or they might work in publishing or something like that. But if you have a big sort of job that has a big mental load, I wonder often how you can possibly fit writing in, because it is a real, if you're writing not to just have a book published, but if you're writing as a career, the mental load of doing that is really quite significant.
Yeah, it's a brain strain for sure. On the days when I've just been writing and not doing any, I don't know, other side work, I am almost mute by the end of the day, which is rare for me. But my brain is just, it's checked out, like it's got nothing left. Yeah. So I stare blankly at my husband as he talks about American politics that I don't care about. And
oh my God, I should talk to your husband. I'm obsessed with
that.
So I guess that leaves me with my final question, Kylie, which is, what advice do you have for aspiring authors? Because, I mean, we have painted a little bit of a bleak picture, and yet we're still here, and we're still, despite the fact that I've just said it's the hardest job I've ever had, and that's true. I wouldn't really want to do anything else. So I know why I'm here. Why are you still here? What advice would you give to aspiring authors that can, give them a bit of hope maybe?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we like to have a whinge, don't we? But it is one of the greatest jobs. We get to make up stories about people and direct the characters wherever we want them to go. The advice I'd probably give emerging writers is don't tell everyone you're writing a book. Just write the book all the way to the end, and don't send your first draft to an agent or a publisher. The things that helped me maybe were entering competitions just as small goals and a way to get used to deadlines. And it also taught me to let go of stories. Like, there is the other end of sending something too early, but then also never letting it go, like editing till it's like a tough loaf of bread that has no more rise. You have to actually learn to just let things go eventually. So that would be my advice. And hang on to the hope and put in the grit, and you'll get there.
I think that's great advice. I think competitions, particularly in the beginning, like once you've sort of started to, actually admit to yourself that you do want to write something that for publication or to be read by others, competitions can help you in lots of ways, including the deadline, I think, which is one of the most important things. But another thing is if you enter competitions that give you feedback, it can help to thicken your skin a little bit. Even if the feedback's not what you want to hear in the beginning, it helps you to get used to that, because you're going to be, no matter how successful you are, you have to get used to feedback. Even if you're, a New York Times best-selling author, you're still going to get reader feedback, and not everyone's going to love what you do, even if you're so successful. Well, thank you so much, Kylie.
Did you want me to give you the worst piece of advice, that question?
Oh, yes, the worst piece of advice. Go on quickly. Give us your worst piece of advice.
I would say, this is quite controversial, but I would say people who tell you when you're writing to show, don't tell.
Yeah.
That is such a simplistic phrase, and it confused me so much, and it really impacted my writing because I felt like I had to show every single thing that was happening. And if we do that, then the book becomes a series of encyclopedias. Like, you don't have to always say she got dressed. I mean, you can say she got dressed without saying she picked up her left leg and slid it into the left trouser leg of her jeans. Like, I think there needs to be a balance, and when you're new and starting out and trying to teach yourself how to do stuff, you take this quite literally, and it really bogged me down a lot. And so I would say
good teachers will say, show and tell. Like I will always tell my clients, if you show everything, you'll have a 300,000 word book. Yeah. But it's knowing when to show and when to tell. And there's still, in my opinion, one of the biggest mistakes really sort of beginning authors make is telling. And it's boring.
Just telling everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Either way, it doesn't work. You need a balance. I think what worked for me was an editor called Kelly Rigby. She read my first 3 chapters of a draft, and she just kind of highlighted one particular section and said, put this in a scene. And I finally understood what the show don't tell meant. That obviously was just the way my brain works, but I was like, so you don't want me to say she met a guy at the bar and she thought he was hot. You want me to actually describe the feelings and it brings it alive on the page, but you can't do it on every page. So I would say just simplistic writing advice like that is not helpful.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Kylie, for joining us here today on Writers Behaving Badly. Don't forget that Kylie has 2 books currently available in the Australian market. They are The 11th Floor, which is her most current release, and Someone Else's Child, which is her debut novel. So if you haven't read Kylie Orr's books before, I can thoroughly recommend. Thanks so much for joining us, Kylie.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, it is time for tea, and I believe Brooke has put the kettle on this week. So, Brooke, tell us what's brewing.
I can't wait to pour this steaming pile of tea. So I was doom scrolling the other day, as we are all want to do in our weaker moments, And I came across this bookstagrammer who was talking about this author who had put into ChatGPT a prompt for writing, but not just that. So it gets so much worse.
Ready.
The author had put, you're already annoyed.
already-
She's already ready to throw the tea in my face. So the author had put the prompt into ChatGPT, and then ChatGPT had spat out its tripe. And then the author went further and said, this is fine, but can you do it in the style of a different author? But when they published the book, they kept the prompt in. So the book was the ChatGPT prompt.
Hang on, I just want to be clear I understand this. So, because I don't actually know how to use ChatGPT, just so that you all know that, I have never, ever used it for anything. You can hold your applause. And I never will. I've never watched Star Wars either. So they're the two.
Flex.
I get ChatGPT to do my maths. I don't know if I'll be putting calculators out of business.
It makes my head. But as someone, I don't really.
It's good at maths.
So I'm not a great person to talk about this because I don't really understand it. But what I just want to clarify, Brooke. So in the published books, it has got printed and the prompts from the author.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So that is so bad. Can you imagine how mad you'd be if you were that author that had been ripped off?
Your stuff was being stolen.
It's like you saying, and make it more in the style of Sally Hepworth or Lisa.
Yeah, it's like,
right? When it wasn't either of us, clearly, but it was someone else, some well-known author.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is this true? Can this happen?
Yes, and the crazy part about it is that
all the time it happens all the time.
In the book, it says no problems. ChatGPT speaks back and says, no problems. I can do this passage in the form of such and such author. Here's the revised excerpt. And that part had been accidentally put into the published.
Do you know they've released a new version of ChatGPT? This is more ChatGPT. So ChatGPT 5 has come out and they've removed a lot of the personality, which has really made it hard for people to write and plagiarize writing. And there's a bunch of people going off on the internet. So if you go look at Victoria Aveyard's Instagram, she's really, really vocal against AI for good reason. But people are in her comments.
Can you
Victoria Aveyard? She's a big fantasy author in the US. But anyway, she has said, like, if you are going to be in my comments whinging about, this robot not being able to plagiarize properly anymore, just get out. Like,
fist bump, Victoria. I'm 100% behind you.
She's fantastic. Yeah, she really is. But like, people are now whinging that it can't plagiarize as well.
Oh my God. This feels like less of a tea time and more of just a shame session, as it should be.
But there's even people on Reddit.
You're shameful.
Lisa, this will just curl your hair. There are people on Reddit saying, you've removed the personality. ChatGPT was my boyfriend. I've lost my baby.
I heard about this
It's making people mentally ill.
Now, this is just shameless gossip now. We've just descended into shameless gossip and I have no source for this. But
our tea time's up, but let's go.
That I did hear about this upgrade of ChatGPT, which I didn't even know there were, versions of it, but okay. And in this discussion, it came up that a man had come home to his wife and said to her,
I saw this too.
Oh, what?
This story?
No, I don't. Continue.
Because I'm telling it like the
the wife was on Reddit and she was the one that was telling the story. She said that her husband came home and was being super weird. They've been in a relationship for over a decade. They've got a couple of kids, I think, two or three kids, and he'd started being a bit weird and like a bit withdrawn. She didn't really think much of it. And then she started to be a little bit concerned that maybe he was like having an affair or having an emotional affair, and she started to get a bit worried. So when he sits down to have a talk with her, she's like preparing herself for the fact that he's having an affair basically, or he's about to leave her. But what he comes out with instead is that he wants his AI girlfriend to join their relationship as a throuple.
What?
He's like, she just is really emotionally supported me over the last, 6 months or whatever.
What?
This woman's like, what the fuck are you talking about? No.
Are you
My
for
mind
real
was
right
blown
now?
by that. I was like,
Yeah.
this is the end of civilization. I'm sorry.
I
If
know.
we have become this stupid, if we are that's it. It's also, end of civilization.
I
and
mean, do you know, it's giving, you give me sex and housework,
Yeah.
and she'll give me, I'm so brilliant, look at me, stroke my ego. Fuck off.
Yeah.
yeah, fuck off, mate. Fuck off. That's
Yeah, you don't deserve a flesh and blood woman.
Well,
the end of tea. Fuck off.
And that's a wrap on this week's episode of Writers Behaving Badly. We've said it before and we'll say it again. Nothing gets us going more than a 5-star review. So if you've enjoyed this week's episode, please jump onto wherever you get your podcasts and let us know with some glowing praise or encourage us to behave badder than ever. Is badder a word? We may never know, but for the purposes of this outro, it absolutely is. If you'd like to submit your own words for mentoring, spill your own wins and sins, or just join in our general chaos, you can find us on Substack or slide into our DMs on Instagram. We would love to hear from you. Lisa offers mentoring over at her website, lisaislandbooks.com. Annie offers author branding services and virtual assistant services at wellcreative.me. And Brooke offers proofreading and editing, as well as memoir and ghostwriting over at reflectionswritingservices.com.au. Until next time, keep writing, cause some chaos, and don't forget to stay bad.
Next one, the 12th of August at 7:30. What do you reckon?
Yep,
I mean-
that works for me.
My schedule
do
is
it.
clear, ready to go.
All right.
All right.
Done.
See you then.
right
That's a
along.
deal.
Let's shake on it.